Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots. I'm going to use this Dollar Tree sign and pop off the front. I'm going to end up putting felt on the back so you can't see that, but I'm going to work on this side. So taking off the ribbon and prying out any staples, we'll cover that all up in just a second. So I'm going to be using home paint for this because I have this little jar of magnolia. Before I do that though, I'm going to take red paint and put it inside of these Michael's letter things. They're not ornaments, I just found them. They just have letters deep recessed. And then I'm just going to give 2 coats of paint to this backing of the sign. So this is like particle board pushed together paper, so it's going to soak up quite a bit of that first layer. You can avoid it by sealing it. Was much too lazy. I had my lasers going that day and I couldn't leave to go out and seal it. So I'm just going to paint the back and the sides of these as well, just because they're wood and I didn't want to be having a big contrast. So here you can see that second layer of paint on the Dollar Tree sign makes such a huge difference. And then I did the sides and the front. The best part that these letters are already recessed for me is I can just go right over them. I will also say that I did seal all of this so that I didn't have any chipping. I didn't know if it was going to chip, but just to make sure. So here you can see the 2 letters. We're obviously going to make the O out of some garland ties. I have some from Lowe's. I have some from Dollar Tree. Anywhere you can find them. I did get asked where I found them at Dollar Tree. Y'all, mine are always on end. Like, they're on the ends, but on the wall of the end. Ooh, that's not. They're like hanging off of the shelving at the very ends of the aisles. And so once I found them there, I just ordered a whole box of them off of Dollar Tree's website, shipped it right to the store, and was able to get a pickup. Okay, so this is also Dollar Tree garland. I just put it on because when you create any greenery, you always want to add different layers. That's the only reason I did that. You can see I'm literally ripping it to shreds. But in the end, it looks fine. Let's dump all of this off. Okay, so I am going to put the board underneath to protect your surface just in case it goes through. I'm using 5/16 staples, so I don't think it will. Let's turn it over and check. I always like to check. Okay, so I'm good. I have nothing coming through. If you do, you can push them down, put something over it like spackle, and then felt the back if you sell them. Now to hide the staples, I am going to put berries on here, but to hide the staples, I just used a little bit of another garland to wrap it and tie around. So that I didn't have those big staples showing. You could also just color them red after you put berries on or ornaments or whatever you're putting on there. So I just did that for both the top and the bottom. And then now I have these also Dollar Tree berries, and they come in little, I think they're bundles of 2, but I don't ever do anything with round circles and 2. So I put 3 of them together and just tied them on, and then I also secured them with hot glue. And I did that on the top and the bottom, which I don't really love. Like, it should have done a little mini bow at the top, but I'm going to use E6000 and a combination of hot glue to affix these little circles. They are real wood, and then I'm affixing them to MDF or particle board, whatever this is. So I'm also going to clamp them at the end, and if you sell, I highly recommend you do this because with the movement of that Dollar Tree backing, I think they could pop off if you don't really secure them with pressure and time. So again, a little bit of hot glue, a little bit of E6000. And then once I get that on, we can move on to my favorite part. So I get asked all the time about bows, hence all the bow tutorials this year. From my recent joinees, I never did bow tutorials before, but I've been asked for them. So I'm using any ribbon you want, but I'm using a 2.5-inch wired ribbon. And you're just going to make a first loop like this as wide as you want the bow to be. I want this to be able to be put away. Okay, so I want it inside the parameters of the sign, and I'm making a bow that can be squished down and pop right back up. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 3 complete loops. That doesn't mean halfway around. So if you're unsure, go all the way and then go all the way around again. So you will end up with 2 layers for each loop that you want. I want 3 on each side. So you can see here on my very last one, I am going to cut it just past center. So we started just past center and we end just past center because I'm lazy and we'll be using a zip tie. So I had these two pieces already cut. The length for you is going to be determined on whatever you want. And we can always fold it over like this and dovetail the edges, but I'm not going to know until I get it on the sign. You could also do a double and just stack them, cut them different sizes. That would look cute too. So here are 3 pieces for my bow. This is the easiest way to zip tie, or this is the easiest way to make bows that will never come apart, and it is zip ties. Dollar Tree, these are actually Dollar Tree zip ties. They also have clear ones, which I had run out of. I have now since restocked. I made this back in like August or September, but yeah, always look in the automotive and home section for zip ties. So what I'm going to end up doing is go slowly. That's it. You want to have this crease in the middle, but if you can't get the crease in the middle, it's okay. Don't fret. Just flip it over to where it kind of bumps out in the front and then pull this back. That's it. Not all the way, but most of the way. Once you have it pulled back, let me get a little tighter. Once you have it pulled back, you can just push it in and it'll give you that same crease. Again, I make a lot of bows, and it doesn't matter what size you make these, this bow will work for absolutely every single person. And I learned it as the pop-up bow, and you'll see why in just a second. Okay, so there you go. I'm just going to cut this off now that it's all secured and tight. For the center, this is a ridiculously long piece. You do not need this, but I'm going to end up cutting this in half because it is so long. I'm going to fold it lengthways, fold it height ways, I don't think that's right, and then I'm gonna cut on the folded edge, and that will dovetail both of my pieces. Even though I'm gonna cut this in the center, they're perfect. And then obviously I always burn the edges. I did see this lady on Facebook who had this really cool tool that was like a wire coil, and it would burn all of her ribbon for her. And the thing about that is I'd probably lose some hair. So I was gonna buy it, and then I was like, no girl, you know you're gonna lose hair on that. So if my hair ends up being like 5 inches shorter, you know I got one of those. I just folded this over, hot glued it down, and then left it like that because we will be stapling this bow down. All right, so this is why it's called the pop-out bow. When you put things away for the season, you can either tuck these back in or just pop them down. This is best with wired ribbon. I get asked that a lot too. Can I do this without wired ribbon? You can, but wired ribbon is going to be easier because it will always look full for this particular bow. So here you go. I'm just going to cut this one in half. I thought about adding a greenery to pull in the greenery from the bow, greenery from the wreath, but I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy. So again, I'm lazy, so all I'm going to do is scrunch the top and then staple this down. You can hot glue. I live in Texas, so anything I move in Texas, sell in Texas, or put outside in Texas has to get stapled. I get asked a lot about the staples I'm using. This is 5/16, and you can see I'm doing both layers at once. If you do a single layer, it may pop through, but again, if it does, just grab something pokey and push those down. And again, I always cover the back of mine if I do have something that poke through. So again, if you sell, it's just an added thing. So in order to make sure this bow stays on without any hot glue, I'm going to just pull all of the layers up except the back one and staple down the very top and the very bottom of that back piece. It's pretty easy. I mean, all you're doing is just lifting everything up. Because again, wired ribbon, this thing will hold whatever shape you want. So I can press this down for the holidays. And here is just a reminder that when you're using E6000 and you're using MDF, you definitely want to go ahead and clamp it. So 24 hours with pretty tight pressure, and that will work every time. That's it for me today. Please like the video and subscribe for more crafting fun.